Hey guys, thanks for checking out today's video. I'm at Reed's Trucking. We're going to talk to Jason Reed. This company was started, I believe it was 1940. They haul sawdust and chips around the Eugene, Coburg, Oregon. They kind of actually, we found out today, they go all the way up into Washington. So check out the video. Ton of knowledge. They've overcame failures. They've had to pivot in their business. They used to haul flatbeds. So super cool video. Jason's an awesome guy. We're going to go in this shop. We're going to check out these trucks. We're also going to find out why they switched to black wheels, which was kind of interesting and a great idea. So check out the video. And also, we're going to be doing videos like this pretty much every other week. We're going to try to drop a video for you guys, so kind of follow along as we go. And we're going to go to more businesses like Jason's and other type of businesses, starting off in Oregon, where we highlight local businesses, what they do, how they've had to pivot and adapt to the markets changing. So check out today's video. So we're at Reed's Truck, and it's still Reed's Trucking and Fuel, right?
Reed's Fuel and Trucking.
Reed's Fuel and Trucking.
Right.
And we're in Coburg, Oregon.
Yep.
And tell them just a little bit about the business.
Yeah, so my great-grandfather started the business in 1940, and I'm the fourth generation, and we pretty much service all sawmills. We run 100% chip trucks. We run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Run 100% Kenworth T880s. And yeah, it's just today is a little rare day. We got
what was going on?
So today I've got some drivers that are off sick. I've got reason there's a lot of trucks sitting in the yard is because when we're running 7 days a week, we have rotating shifts. So the trucks that are sitting today will be running like Saturday and Sunday. We have guys running, so today's Wednesday, they're off maybe Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So we just, whatever it takes to make sure the customer's taken care of. So.
And so, I know we've talked about this before, but since we're kind of doing a new video today, but
Sure.
Like you're balancing that, because the sawmills, I mean, they break down and you have guys off, so that scheduling, like what he's doing, it just gives me a headache thinking about it.
Well, and that's, everything changes. I mean, we never hear from the sawmills when they break down, or if they switch from green lumber to dry lumber, which takes longer to produce stuff. They never tell us. But if we're not there, they'll just dump the material on the ground.
And then you need to clean it.
And then we have to go in there and clean it up. Yeah, we have a skid steer and a front end loader and shovels, but that's just a lot of work. So
what do you run? What have you found? What have you changed? I know
Sure.
you've got the 360 cameras now.
Yep, so we went to so what we just did to our entire fleet was we put these cameras in. There's one there. There's a dash camera looking forward. There's a camera on the other side, so we got views behind us as we're going down the road. We also have a view up on the top of the cab right there that looks towards the motor, because we are always damaging that $6,000 tarp motor.
Oh, that's because this is electric.
Yeah, it's
an electric motor.
Right. So
cool.
So the driver just has to come over here and hit the switch, and it unwinds. So what was happening back like 8 years ago, we had all kinds of workers' comp claims, shoulders, elbows, wrists. And so now this is how they tarp and untarp their loads.
Wow.
It's just by switching, doing this.
And you mean they hit stuff?
Yeah, so when they pull underneath a metal bunker,
Yeah.
If they're not looking, they'll take that motor out.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's $6,000.
Yeah. So now there's a screen inside the truck where the driver can see that camera view.
Got it.
And see if they're going to hit it or not. So in the second week of us having all these fancy cameras, we took out 2 motors. We're like, how? Why? You have a view of what you're doing.
SOPs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the what motors are you running?
We're running X15.
Okay.
So 525 horsepower. And
then you're running. You've been traditionally running like probably a 13. What do you run for transmissions?
Well, right now we're switching everything over to the automatic.
You were running a
13 and 18 speeds.
And why are you switching?
Drivers. It's all based on drivers.
The drivers coming out of the schools, right?
All the truck drivers, not all, but the majority of the truck drivers coming out of school all have an automatic endorsement, and they can't drive a manual transmission. So I think it was in April or May, we had a bunch of guys come through that had automatic endorsements. We had trucks sitting with no drivers, but I couldn't put them to work because they were manual transmissions. Right. So my business partner and I are talking like, well, if we're going to have a $200,000 truck sit in our yard, we might as well have a $210,000 truck, because about 10,000 grand for a
10,000,
manual
yeah.
or an
Yep.
automatic transmission, and we can double shift it. So yeah, all of our automatic trucks, except for one today, is out in the yard being double shifted, running 7 days a week. Well, when we went back to the factory a year ago, and we're looking at the automatic transmissions, they were having us test drive different trucks, and the electric trucks all had blue accents all over. And I'm like, well, what's the blue accents? Or, well, that way we can tell it's an electric truck.
So these are now.
So these are all the automatic.
So when I see your
transmissions.
trucks going through town all the time, I'll know which ones are
So
automatic.
the black wheels are
Oh,
automatic
okay,
transmission.
cool. That makes sense.
So then what we did is we matched the trailer with the truck, so it's all black.
Yep. Nope, looks good.
So that way when we're going through the yard, we're like, is that an automatic truck or is that a manual? So this
Love
makes
simple.
it easier.
Oh my gosh, it's so much easier.
But yeah, so like in this truck, it's really hard to get used to no gear shift.
Oh yeah.
So
Look
and
at that
that's
big, and look at that big tab. What's the tablet?
the
Or what is that? Is
those
that a
are so
tablet?
those are digital mirrors.
Oh, those are
If you want-
digital mirrors.
Yeah, so if you want to go up
can-
there and look,
And get some shots of it.
so those are digital mirrors. That,
Oh, that's cool.
so and I'll show you on the mirror on the outside. So this is a new product that Kenworth came up with, and it really helps out in the evenings or at nighttime driving.
That's
Because
sick.
it's just like the rearview mirror on your pickup. It lightens it up a little
That's
bit,
crazy.
and also gives a different. You can get 3 different views out of that: a panoramic view, or a regular view, or more of a wider
And that's
view.
part of the Kenworth truck.
Part of the Kenworth.
And you have the 360 cameras.
Plus.
So wow, they got a lot of.
Yeah, they should know what's going on. So this is a camera for those digital mirrors, and it gives. And again, you can change the view. The driver can change the view, can make it brighter or dimmer. You know.
Yeah.
But that's really helped out a lot. That was a lot of resistance from drivers. I almost had more resistance from these cameras.
Why do you think?
It's just something different. You know, it's like an automatic transmission. I don't want to drive on. You know, you're not a truck driver if you drive an automatic.
Right.
Well, every one of my drivers that have gotten in automatic, they don't want out.
Well, it's like dash cameras. We talk about that
Yeah.
all the time. Where there's always a lot of pushback from drivers of dash cameras, and we both know how much it saved us having them. It protects the driver.
Right. Yep. No, it does.
It's huge. Yeah.
For sure.
Do you? Is there a brand of tire that you guys like to run?
Well, usually Bridgestone
Okay.
is pretty popular, and Michelin, but you know, it depends on how much you can afford.
Yeah.
You know, they're spending.
So you're running 295s and then 255s.
Yeah.
Some 255s.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we tried to go smaller tires because they were less expensive on these new Westerns, and we were just going through tires like crazy because they were skidding out. And
See, and I thought because I would just see the trucks going down the road, I thought you had 295s on everything, but you don't.
Yeah.
Okay. So the biggest, so like each business, when I think of this, is like we're all trying to solve a problem.
Right.
So the problem that you're solving is these mills have product they have to move, right?
Yep.
And then that product is going to someone that's needing to make another product, right? So you have the paper mill.
Yep.
You have ag, like you said,
Yep.
nurseries. You have do you go over to the charcoal?
Yep. Over to Kingsford where they
So
make
Kingsford,
charcoal
where they make the
briquettes.
charcoal briquettes.
Yep. We go to the pellet mill, which makes pellets
Forgot about the pellet mill.
for either barbecues or for home heating.
Like Bear Mountain, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like Bear-
it used to be Bear Mountain. Now
Okay.
it's
Something else.
Legenics. but-
Okay.
And then there's a particle board plant up in Albany that we haul to, where they make particle board. And so yeah, all these different places, but they all want certain. I mean, some of them will take sawdust, some will take sawdust and shaving,
Yeah, what
some will
type
take
of
chips.
Yeah, so explain just a little bit about that, because that was something like we know it when you say it, but you don't
Right.
think about it. There's bark, there's sawdust, there's what
Right.
is-
Yeah. So and just in the bark. So on the whole process of taking a tree out of the woods and then making it into a 2x4. So you got the bark that comes off the tree, and in that process they have different kinds of bark. So depending on the screen process, they'll have just chunky bark, or that will be used or they'll call it hog fuel, and they'll burn that chunkier, thicker bark, and then they'll screen it down in a.
And where are they burning that at?
So
what
like
are they
Sierra
using?
Pacific has a cogeneration plant.
Okay, so
And
they're
so they'll
burning
burn
the
it.
bark in the cogen
Yep,
plant.
and then so that creates steam because they have water going through there, creates steam, which then goes through their generator process to generate electricity to power their sawmill, and then also they sell it back to PGE.
This Whole Oaks use their own bark?
I would think so, yeah. I would
Okay.
think Whole Oaks does. Several mills do. They have their own powerhouse,
Okay.
basically, where they burn
Okay, that
their
makes
bark,
sense.
and then the excess we haul away. So then if it's not going to be used for that product, then it goes through more screen processes, and then it'll go to like a Lane Forest or a Rexius in our area for more
Like a bark mulch type company.
yeah, like a landscape bark.
Landscaping, okay.
Yeah, and then so once it gets through that and gets the bark off the tree, then it starts getting sawed, and so it creates a round log into 4x4s or 2x4s, and in that process, the saw or the dust from the saw
Right.
cutting
So
it
when
down.
you're cutting your board,
When you're cutting it,
that's
it's creating
the dust.
sawdust.
That's the sawdust.
Yeah, so then we'll haul the sawdust, and that is used for anything and everything. Everybody's really surprised. Toilet paper, tissue papers, paper plates, paper cups, anything is a paper product, paper bags,
Came
comes
sawdust.
from a
Okay.
tree.
Yeah.
You know, cardboard boxes. We love Amazon to have these, what was
Yeah.
yesterday, Prime Day or whatever, because they just go through the
So
cardboard
much
boxes.
cardboard boxes.
And then so like the paper mill in Springfield, they'll use the chips and they create what they call liner board. So liner board, if you look at a cardboard box and take a knife and cut it, there's little pieces of paper that's compressed together. That's called liner board. And that's what generates, and then when they get enough of them together, that makes a cardboard box.
Got it.
So yeah, so then, and they don't have to bleach that product, so it's brown,
Yep.
like the color of the chips. Now the paper mill in Halsey they funnel their product into the GP mill, which is next to it, until they'll bleach the wood to create the white paper. So notebook paper, tissue paper, toilet paper, you know, and
Interesting.
it goes on. But that's how it becomes white, is because they bleach the wood so it's not
So,
brown.
Never would have known that. It
Yeah.
makes sense. How do
Yeah.
you get white? How do you get chips and then you get white paper, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and then we haul chips export to Coos Bay. There's an export facility in Coos Bay, and then those chips go to Japan, to a paper mill in Japan.
Oh, that's
There's
crazy.
another one in North Bend that we haul chips to. Probably around, just depends on the week. It's anywhere from 50 loads a week to 100 loads a
And
week.
that's from here a couple hours, right?
Yeah, 2.5 hours.
So then
one
we got to
way.
do that. Of course, it changes.
Changes
Your whole
almost
dispatch.
every day. Every week we have a game plan, but it could go day to day. Like if the dump breaks down, like if a barn, like last week I was talking about IP's dump was down in Springfield. Well, more chips, instead of going 30 minutes to Kites Grove to Springfield or crosstown to
Yep.
Springfield, went to Coos Bay. Or I went to Toledo. Toledo's another paper mill.
And you've told me this, like over where I live in Junction City. You were telling me one time when the trucks come through town, the way you guys dispatch, you're kind of live dispatch because
Right.
are you getting information back from the driver that was last at the mill to try to tell
So
the next
every
driver?
driver, not every single driver, but most drivers are giving us a bunker report. So what we load out of is a big middle bin that the trucks pull underneath. And so the driver has to go up to the top, check to see how much he's leaving, and lets the dispatcher know.
So the dispatcher has an idea because there's no
Just-
way for the dispatcher
right.
from here to know how much is in the bin.
Has no idea,
when
or
to
how
send a truck.
did the mill break down? Did the mill increase their production?
Because the mill's not calling you.
Never.
It is your job to make sure it's gone.
Right. Yeah. So our one of our dump places is Halsey, north of where you're at. So as it's coming south through Junction City, where you're at, then we have a road that we can either take off and go to Notai, which is the place that produces all the loads, like 60 loads a shift, or we can go straight down 99 into Eugene and take care of that, some of the other mills. So yeah, it's
So when
never
they-
the same thing.
So yeah, when they come in there, basically they need to say, "Hey, this is where I'm at.
Right.
Where do you want me to go? Left,
Right.
right?" And based off of those bunker readings, that's how
Right.
the dispatch knows then to send that truck.
Right. Yeah.
That's
So
it.
he'll call. The truck will call when he's coming into Junction City. Now we have GPS on our trucks
Sure.
too. So if the dispatcher has time in his day, he'll watch the truck. But he's
Once
on
they
the
get- I'm
phone
su-
and everything else.
Yeah,
and-
there's
so the driver will call when he's coming into Junction City. He needs to know by the time he gets through Junction City, which takes a couple minutes. He needs to know by the time he gets through Junction City, am I taking a right at this intersection or am I going straight?
yeah. So did your grandpa start it?
My great grandfather and grandfather started in 1940, and then my dad took.
And when did they haul? But when they started, it's
It was
interesting.
so they actually came from Toledo, Oregon, just west of Junction City, and they were going to do a moving company, so it was Reed Transfer, and then they moved to Springfield, sold their two company or personal cars to buy one truck, to start this company, and then
And that was going to be a moving
moving company, and then that wasn't going so well. So then my grandfather started going around to sawmills, seeing if there's anything they could do, and then started getting the scrap wood from the mills, and then started selling that to the public for home heating. And at that time they had big wigwam burners, and so whatever wood that the sawmill wasn't going to use to sell for like lumber, they would just throw in this big burner and just burn it. And it was, back then nobody cared about air pollution or anything like that. And so then the sawmills decided, well, they could sell some of the sawdust, because at that time in the 40s and 50s, they were also using sawdust for home heating. They had sawdust boilers in the basement of a lot of homes in the Soulka area, and also in the school district, heating the schools. And then from there, my grandfather was able to be pretty good friends with George Weyerhaeuser, that started the Springfield mill here in town, and just kind of started growing from that. Got into the flatbed world. And then we started hauling more of a wood byproducts, so bark, sawdust, shavings, and then our trucks just started getting bigger and bigger. And then
because some of the pictures that you've posted, which I'll go get for the video, it's like the old these old 40s and 50s
40s
trucks
and 50s with a box on it.
Yeah,
and they would just dump it like a dump truck. But
and it's crazy to think that like fuel. When you think of fuel, like today, we're thinking we're talking about wood and sawdust, but it's like you say, it's from heating oil to
And in the 40s and mid 40s, they also had one truck that had home heating oil. Stove oil and stuff, and then they sold that to Marshall's, who is now.
Because that was a big deal back in the day. Like, like my dad used to take out underground storage tanks. Which I was young when he was doing this, and I didn't understand, because we don't use heating oil anymore. And all these tanks were in the ground. Because that's how they heated, was heating oil.
So anyway, then from in the 60s and 70s, we started doing flatbedding and started just hauling from mill to mill, and then in the 80s we started. Everything was pretty regulated in the trucking world still in the 80s, and then we started. Then everything became deregulated in the 80s, and we started hauling 5 western states with our flatbed division, and kept growing the company. And we had, at that time in the 80s and 90s, we had 30 flatbeds plus 30 chip trucks. And then the market crashed in the early 80s, so that kind of slowed us down a little bit. And then when the market really crashed in 2008, we couldn't justify having flatbeds anymore. The rates were so cheap, and so we just got rid of all of our flatbeds and just focused right on chips, and then tried to diversify a little bit because the housing market crashed. And so it had some belt trailers, so we were hauling some ag stuff with belt trailers. We had a couple hopper trailers. We were hauling pumice out of Eastern Oregon or Central Oregon that the nurseries use in their mixture for planting soil and stuff. So we had a couple trailers going over to Central Oregon every day. Had some dump trucks, big high cube dump trucks, where we could haul bark one way and then rock or whatever back the other way, sand for golf courses. And then that became a nightmare, just because it was too much of a distraction to run all that stuff. Plus we were hauling up in the woods. Out of the woods, out of grinders. They would go in and log an area, and then they'd want to grind up all this material.
And you got to haul that.
We have to haul it. Well, chip trucks don't bend in the middle like log trucks. So trying to get a log or a chip truck up in the woods, and then have a driver educated on how that whole process works up in the woods, took way too much time and too much risk.
So I would assume your advice to these younger guys that are trucking is maybe stay a little bit in your lane, or
that's I've been consistent since I've been in the 10-4 coaching group. You don't need all the distractions. Just stay focused on one thing that you know well and you can make money at. But having everything from soup to nuts, for us, it didn't work.
And the numbers you guys, and when was that pivotal moment? That 2008 when you were like, we really got to.
Well, there was a lot of things going on in 2008. I mean, I was buying out my dad from the company. I started in 95-ish, started buying out my dad. And so when the market crashed, he was still expecting his money and didn't care what the market was doing. And, you signed a contract and you need to make this payment. And I'm like, there's no money coming in. So we had to start figuring out real fast what we're going to do. And I just realized that I just need to focus on, I can't have all these distractions. I just need to focus on what we do best, provide service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Nobody else is really doing that to most aspects, and then just hone in on that. We've pretty much got it dialed in.
Right. No, I think that's the biggest. He had a truck just come in here, right? Because I think he's.
Let's
Or is he
go
getting
over
ready to leave? Yeah. So I think that's like a big thing that and you've helped the guys in the group a lot because you've got so much experience, but I think that's a big, we all get distracted like as entrepreneurs, right? We want to do all these things and this next thing, we're going to make a ton of money. And then we get so like distracted.
Yeah, you forget about what it got.
The core part of the business, right?